Okay, so evidently, as I noticed, based on the 449 comments on my very, very recent YouTube video, I wanted to go over some of the comments, as I did mention. I wouldn't be going over a lot of them, and I've been gone for about 2 months, as a lot of you have known, maybe 3, I don't remember. But I wanted to come through, and I wanted to answer this assortment of questions I've been seeing, and see if I can clear things up so that you guys can make a server that actually works, because I can guarantee you, Windows 10, 11, doesn't matter what it is, as long as your version of Rust is authentic, this does work. I've done it like 4 times over on different devices. You just got to make sure that you follow those steps correctly. I can assure you this works. All right. So first off, this stuff here, the Steam CMD. This is a file you need to create the server. You need to download this, and you need to follow what I do in the video at the very start. Opening up Steam CMD, extracting it properly, and actually running it. You need to go through that. This information here is stuff you're going to end up pasting into the Steam CMD window. CMD is a command prompt, and this information you're going to install, you're going to pretty much paste it into the directory there, the CMD, that is going to open up. You're going to want to paste them on individual lines. So force install directory under C Rust server. The one big thing that people did not notice, this here, C:, this is describing a directory. Every hard drive you have in your computer, so you have a hard drive and you have a solid state drive, 2 different devices. One is going to be C, and likely the other one's going to be D. If you have Rust installed on a drive that has a different assigned letter, that is not maybe C, you want to change this to say D or E or whatever letter is assigned to the drive. You can figure out by going to this PC under your File Explorer on Windows. And this will tell you all the drives, and it'll let you know the letter assigned. As you can see, OSC, this is my operating system, OS is operating system, and it's assigned the letter C. So we're going to put C in front of our server, which is by default. Now, as we can see here, app update. This is going to make sure that the server automatically updates when you update your game. If you want the standard version of Rust that updates as on the first Thursday of every month, you want the latest updates, you want to put this in here. If you want the staging branch, you want to put this in. If you want a pre-release, you want this. Really, you're not going to want to worry about this. If you want staging branch, you put this in. If you don't, you put this in. It's pretty simple. These are the configuration commands. Now, when I say Rust server, this is the text file we make in the video, and we want to make sure that we copy from here to here. Now, this was taken from the Rustified post here. I just pretty much simplified it and got rid of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to copy this exactly as it is pasted. You want to put that into your document. You don't want to touch it unless you want to customize this line down to this line here. This is the only stuff that you want to customize if you customize anything. Pretty much all this stuff is doing here is doing exactly this, but redoing it every time just to make sure it runs properly. And from there, your server should run if you followed the video correctly. So make sure you go through the whole 9 minutes and 50 seconds. It's not that long. You can do it. So let's go down to our comments here, because obviously I've got a few. Okay, so it's quite evident that I have a lot of comments on here, and I want to go through a lot of the problems and see if we can sort of clear them up, because I see a lot of people are still commenting. A lot of these are quite new. I can actually sort it by newest. And 5 days ago, 7 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's slowed down, but they're still there, and it's evident that a lot of people are not fully sure of what they need to do here. So we're going to go through this and see if we can answer some questions. So I keep disconnecting from my server every 10 minutes or so. I'd recommend, first off, without seeing the actual error that you're getting when you disconnect, if it's just a standard disconnect error, it's likely that Steam has an issue. I'd recommend verifying your game files. You should make sure that your Wi-Fi is stable, as if you have unstable Wi-Fi, if it goes out at any point, Rust is going to disconnect you to make sure that you stay synced with the game. So make sure that your Wi-Fi is good, and verify your game files if it seems to be some funky error that you haven't been able to recognize. How do you start the server again after you stopped it? I actually showed this in the video at the end here. So we can have the disconnect or the connect command there. If we go back, all you need to do is run the Rust server batch file. It mentions that it is a Windows batch file. You just need to run that file again and wait for this whole menu to load fully. Now you could see it says could not establish a TCP connection to, and then I blurred it out because it's my IP address. Once that shows, you're pretty much connected, and you can go onto Rust and client.connect using the command that I showed beforehand here. Can anyone help me? Disconnect reason, wrong connection protocol, client update required. Return to main menu. Yeah. This, you need to close the game server. You need to go to Rust, and you need to verify your game files through Steam. This is going to make sure that your game is fully updated, and then you can go back and try reloading the server and try connecting. If it doesn't let you connect, uninstall the game server, delete all the files except for just delete them all. Make sure they're all gone, and reload the server following the tutorial from scratch again once your game files have been verified, and from there, you should not have this issue anymore. I guess Windows 11 can go F themselves then. It does work on Windows 11. You can do this on, there's nothing that will stop Windows 11 from working. Hi, would you have the pirated 2275 version or some video to help me? This won't work on a pirated version of Rust, and I don't carry copies of Rust pirated. Just buy the game. It goes on sale half the time. If you're going to play it that much, it's worth your money. How do we change the gather X or gather rate? This is a great question, and it's quite often asked. And actually, what I'm going to do is search up umod home. Now, this is where we're going to find plugins for Rust. The gather rate is actually a plugin. So we can go up here to plugins, and we're going to want to click on Rust, and we're going to want to sort it by most downloads. Because you'll notice Gather Manager is the second most downloaded plugin ever. You're going to want this one. You just click download here. It's going to download a .cs file. And what you also need to do is go to my Discord. Actually, I'll pull this up here. So we are in Discord. We want to go to FAQ, FAQ, for frequently asked questions. We want to scroll down, and we want to look for adding Oxide mods to your local server. I have the stuff that you need to download, including a link to the plugins page, Chaos plugins for Rust. These are some more paid ones that are really good. And then a Google document with oxide.rust. This is just a drive link, and this gives you the folder you need to install. You pretty much want to go through everything I have explained here. It's quite straightforward. It's pretty much just adding a new file and replacing a pre-existing one and loading the server. It'll create some new files, and you're good to go. So just follow this through, and then you pretty much just need to add all of the .cs files that you download to the Oxide plugins folder, which you will notice we have this folder called Oxide, and in there is a folder called plugins. You add your .cs in there, and once you load the server, if you go to Oxide again, and then you go to a folder called config, you're going to have the ability to customize plugins like this. However, if you go back here, Gather Manager has a bunch of commands, so it kind of relies on you to use these commands in-game, and then just do a server.write CFG to save the commands and make sure that they don't go away. Okay, so what about plugins? Just to explain that one, same thing. Whenever I try to start it, it loads up all the assets and then it says invalid URL, invalid port specified. This is likely an issue if we go back here. You want to make sure that you include this information here. This is just setting up your Archon. It's good. It's good for access. Ensure that you have server port 28015. You don't want to change this stuff. Ensure that you have this stuff correctly pasted, and you should be pasting in this entire string of text here. Keep it exactly formatted as is, and you just want to put it into the text document we make in the video, and don't touch it from there. As long as you have a strong Wi-Fi connection, this should be working fine. You want to make a Rust server for cinematics, but you want an older version. There's not a way that I know of that you can actually do this. You're likely that you're going to need a newer version of Rust, so you're going to have to kind of stick to what Facepunch will let you do. I wasted so much time I couldn't do anything. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah. It always crashes. What do I do? Well, first off, this is running like a second copy of Rust on your computer. It's pretty much hosting the entire server and acting as a server for you to connect to. So you need to make sure that your computer can actually handle it. And I know a lot of people use computers that can barely even run Rust to begin with. And if you have one of those computers, this video is probably not for you. You should not try to host a server. I'd recommend finding, I believe Scalacube, they have a free server you can temporarily use, but I'd recommend paying $5 or $6, whatever, a month, and just hosting a server that you're going to use that doesn't require you to host it off of your own device. Hello, how can I invite friends? This goes into a whole nother topic called port forwarding, and I don't really want to get into all that. However, I did leave a link here, port forwarding video by SRT Bull, and he has a great video on how to port forward. This is how you're going to get your friends to join your server. If these are friends online, though, this is pretty much also giving them your IP address, so if you haven't told them where you live, well, they're kind of going to know. I need help, but it's saying could not establish a TCP connection. That's going to happen. That's actually how we know at the end of the video, as I did talk about it. Oh, we got an ad. That's great. We see here, could not establish a TCP connection. This is pretty much telling you the server's running. All this means is that it's not an actual public server. It's not establishing a public connection, but it's going to work for you. It's a local connection. It doesn't actually matter. Echo off, the system could not find the path specified. Make sure when you put in force install c:/Rust server, make sure you've already made the Rust server folder. And also make sure that the drive letter here is set to the drive letter that you have Rust on. Now, it says Rust server here. Pretty much, you need to ensure that you name the folder Rust server. If it's named Rust server or Rust servers or anything like that, it's not going to work. This is specific. So make sure it's Rust server. The slashes don't matter. That's just kind of separating the file. Me and a friend made a server through Hamachi using CMD. He tries to join, rejecting connection. Steam auth error invalid. Steam auth failed. First off, setup. Steam, you want to make sure that your game, just verify your game files first off. The most common problem, or the most common solution, is just verifying your game files to fix this issue. If he doesn't have an authentic copy of Rust, though, this is still going to pop up, and you need to just buy a copy of Rust. It keeps saying missing shader in main camera. This error, it doesn't actually do anything. There's going to be a lot of errors. That happens even on paid servers. You just don't see them. There's a lot of errors that don't actually do anything. Yours gets stuck to asset warmup for some reason. If it's your first time loading the server, it can take like 15-20 minutes. It's kind of like a leave it, go get some coffee, and come back in a little bit. The slower your computer, the slower it'll take as well. Which config is it to change loot crates, like harvest rates? If you go install the Oxide first, the harvest rates are going to be Gather Manager, and loot crates are going to be your say Magic Loot or Better Loot. Those are two plugins you can install and customize, or you can get Alpha Loot, but that one costs money through Chaos Code. 2x mats, loots, and smelt. If you want smelting, you can get Quick Smelt. There's different plugins. You can just type in smelt or furnace on Umod, and everything that'll come up will be related to this here. But there's a lot of plugins that you can choose. You can even change the output values on furnaces, so you can have double the output for the input. You can change how much charcoal you get, how quick it goes, and all that stuff. It's great plugins like that. It's not echo off. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It works. You don't really need to change anything. Just make sure you put it in as it's listed. I also copied that. It's not I didn't write it myself. So please help Waffle. It says Steam off, and I'm cracked. If you have a cracked version of Rust, this does not work. You need to buy the game. It goes on sale for like $20. You can mow a couple lawns and buy the game. I need your help. I have a Discord forum with a lot of solutions to various problems. I'd recommend checking it out, or even just asking there. I'm not going to give you my email address to help with a Rust problem. I was game banned for no reason a few months ago. Can I still play this? If you're game banned, you can. As long as you are not technically fully banned from Rust and you're not on a cracked version, you're fine to play this. The only thing that a game ban tends to do is prevent you from joining certain servers, because a lot of servers prevent people that have game bans within, say, a year or so. As long as you can play on some servers, you can play on this server, because it's locally hosted and it's not, it doesn't have a bunch of admins that are going to be watching over your accounts and all that. Rustdedicated.exe is not recognized as an internal or external command. You actually don't want to run rustdedicated.exe. That one comes pre-installed when you run the Steam CMD file and put in the commands. You want to run the batch file that we made that is called rustserver.bat. Don't run rustdedicated. I was wondering how you do the player animation, like when you're talking at just 4 seconds. I wanted to do this with my own character. Can you make a tutorial or tell me how to do this, please? Well, the nice thing is that all of these here, you can download them from my Discord. They are a paid file for all of these. Some of my files here are paid just to help support me and what I do. However, if you boost the server, subscribe to me on Twitch, or even, I might even make them free. You can check. But I have so many downloadable files in my Discord. A lot of assets, sound effects, thumbnails you can even use. The entire Rust press kit, loads of cinematics. All of them are in my Discord. You can download most of them for free. I have a lot of free content there. Go check it out. There's always something to grab. Okay, so honestly, most of the issues there are pretty basic, and a lot of them don't even come up. A lot of the time, the errors, you can press enter on your keyboard when you're going through the batch files, and if the error doesn't clear, just restart it or reinstall the server from scratch. Now I'm going to show off here. Info and downloads is where I have all of my information on free downloads and also where you can get access to a lot of help. If we go to Cinematic Fact, of course, all this stuff is how to do cinematics. I have a lot of depth of field things that show you how blur in the background works. If you go to cinematics, a lot of these things here are downloadable packs. Some of them got virus warnings put on them. I don't really know why. I can assure you there's no viruses in them. But all of these are free cinematics I made while I was actually learning how to make cinematics. I figured I would just put them out. You can download them there. In assets here, we have the entire Rust icon set. So if you're looking for the icons, these were actually extracted using Asset Studio. I just pulled them straight from the game. These here are all of the update pictures, the press kit. So everything that Facepunch used to offer, however, their webpage went invalid. So you can't actually find these anymore. So I just extracted them from the back end of the page. And just the Rust logos, if you need them for thumbnails or anything, you could download those all here. Along with here, all of the MP3 files, including footsteps, guns, melee sounds, building. You can get all of them in this Google Drive folder. In thumbnails here, I just have the press kit as well. You can get them from this page as well. And I also have some image packs, including wallpapers and thumbnails you can download. And then the paid download here, if you are a Twitch subscriber or you have say Boost of the Discord, you get access to this folder and you can download some of the 3D packs, some other assets that I have here. There's lots of things you can download. Up here at the forums, we have another fact page. This one has a lot of common server problems. You can go through these. A lot of the time I answer, people also ask questions here too. But a lot of the time can't access TCP connection, force installers, all the errors that mostly come up. You can see all the solutions for them here. There's how to make a server. If you don't want to watch a video on how to do it, you can go through this whole thing here. It has all the links and all that. Custom Rust animations. If you want to do these for yourself, the whole wiki page, which I've added to as well, is on here. And I also just added everything in here. Adding Oxide is here. Part 3, Part 2, and Part 1 to making the servers. And cinematic requests, if you have anything you want me to make for free, you put in here. There's information on how to smooth out your camera for cinematics. Creating your first cinematic information there. And then if you go down to questions here, this is where a lot of people ask questions. If you've had problems, look in here. You can also search for posts and see if anyone else had your issue already, because it's likely that it's already been answered. Now, I hope this helps. Go join my Discord, and all of this stuff is in here. It's free for the grabs if you'd like to see it. So put a comment on this video if you have any videos you need me to make, tutorials you'd like to see, and I'll be sure to get to them if I can.